Hello there guys, and welcome back to the channel. Now that Battlegrounds have gone away and we have had a full month to play with them, it's time we do a bit more comprehensive feedback video and also let you guys in on some exploits and abuse that was happening in Battlegrounds besides the entire modding situation and things that definitely need to be changed. Part of the reason why I didn't make this video or didn't popularize anything about this earlier is just because I did not want people to know in general, because even if I make a video with best of intentions, if it's still active, it's still possible, you just know it would have spread, and that is something that I wanted to avoid. Either way, Battlegrounds now. Anything and everything that I say in this video needs to be kept with the benefit of a hindsight that I absolutely love Battlegrounds. I think it has nigh unlimited potential and is virtually the best thing that has happened to this game. I think it has the capability to completely transform how we think of malcontents champions, and it has to go right. It's going to be all in the details and execution in this game mode, and unfortunately, with Kabam's track record, I'm not 100% sold that it is going to go well. And in fact, I fully expect a ton of issues, but let's just hope that they are the type that we are willing to live with. Now, clearly, Battlegrounds are, at least to me, very, very exciting game mode, because it kind of hit all the right aspects of game for me. In fact, currently, about 75% of my interest in this game, dedication, devotion, energy to it, is kind of about Battlegrounds. A good illustration of that would have been Act 8.1 beta. I really had to force myself to go and play Act 8.1 beta whilst Battlegrounds were active, because I just wanted to play Battlegrounds. That's more fun, that's more interesting to me, that's what I wanted to do. Even if for first time ever, this time around, Kabam was giving away 6-star shrines for your main account for playing the beta. Now that I have played Battlegrounds, virtually every other game mode feels kind of to me. Obviously, I still want to follow the game updates, the champion buffs, the new champions, the events, and things like that. But if Act 8.1 would go live today, I'd play it, but it wouldn't be, anything mega super special. If Battlegrounds would come back today, that'd make my day. So I just want people to understand exactly how I feel about the game mode. Absolutely love it. Now, unfortunately, as many positives we can find about Battlegrounds, there were a ton of negatives as well, and a ton of things that need to be addressed. And my personal position, despite my, eagerness to play Battlegrounds right now, is very simple, that Kabam ought to take as much time as possible before they can bring, and before they do bring the game mode back, because they definitely have quite a lot of edits to do in the game mode, and definitely address the issues with A, the exploitation of the loopholes, and B, definite modding situation. In all honesty, I was absolutely flabbergasted and shocked at how bad Kabam is at dealing with moderator situation. Because keep in mind, moderators have to be modding for like a full-on day or two to even get to the top of the leaderboard, because they need to, let's say, make the account, mod their way through Abyss, mod their way through initial acts and everything else, rank up their champions, do everything in game, and then start modding in Battlegrounds and play around, 50 matches or 40 matches before they get to the top of the Battlegrounds leaderboard. So that means that it's pretty safe to assume that they have been modding for full-on day or 2 or 3 or however long it takes for them. And they were doing it effortlessly. Nobody stopped them on the way there. What's worse, we saw the same people modding at end of the Battlegrounds 3 months later that were modding in the first beta. Yes, some of them did get banned along the way. A bunch of them didn't, by the way. But when they did get banned, it was kind of helpful only for about half a day, because then, those same modders just picked up new accounts and modded their way back up. Kabam has to be much, much better catching them. But modding situation put aside, there are several other problems we need to discuss. Now, first off, we're going to take a look at this fight right here. So, here I'm fighting Domino against the Hercules. And, you know, I'm going to screw up a bit in this fight. It's going to go very, very well for me up until one moment when I do get kind of clipped. So I'm still at 100% health. Wonderful. I'm about to drop my level 2. Unfortunately, I do not get the best RNG. That is one of the reasons why eventually I end up taking the Domino out of my deck, because I seem to have the bad fights much more often than the good ones with her, where my RNG didn't quite work out. And so here, I was too slow. That's on me. I messed up. And that's kind of like the point of Battlegrounds. Because even if you have a very, very good matchup, if you screw up, and then you lose the match, right? That's how it's meant to be. So there I get back to my level 2, drop it, and I'm going to finish off the fight with 30 seconds remaining on my fight timer. Not a problem. 30 seconds are remaining there. So see, my opponent's still fighting. So I'm thinking, at least I'm ahead on the fight time. Never mind health, at least I'm ahead on fight time. My opponent finished at 54 seconds. Now, here is the problem. There is a legitimate bug where when you start the fight, you see a black screen, which is exactly why I'm not saying that Burgess here did anything wrong. Because I have had these situations happen to me on stream, where when you're meant to start the fight, you just see this black fight screen background with time ticking down and fight is not starting. At which point, if you restart your game quick enough, it's going to let you do the fight, but it will, you know, give you less time to finish. However, the fight duration will still show the actual fight duration. So that, as a failsafe, was a workaround this bug, which obviously is a problem. However, very quickly people learned to also abuse that, and whenever they messed up at the beginning of the fights, they started restarting their game. So if you take a fight with Hercules, you need to get several intercepts very quickly in order to get your feats of strength up and then do more damage. So you do like 3, 4, 5, 6 intercepts in quick succession. If you screw that up, you know that Hercules can finish off the fight very quickly in like a minute or so. You still have more than enough time to restart the game, try again, and you give yourself an opportunity not to screw up that intercept. And you know for a fact that you will have more than enough time to finish out that fight. And unfortunately, there was a group of players that were abusing this. Every time they messed up at the beginning, they just restarted the game. And then, you know, they had a second chance to fight perfectly. Not once I did this thing myself. There was one thing that I am guilty of that I did about 2 or 3 times. And then I just stopped because, again, I figured it's stupid. This came up as a very big topic in that line chat group where all of the top Battlegrounds players were in, because there were a handful who thought it's perfectly normal, cool thing to do because both players can do it, which is a shitty excuse for it. And virtually everybody was against it, so there was quite a big infighting about it as well, which resulted in several of the players leaving the group with the first mention of both players can do it, just, you know, feeling that it's perfectly legitimate strategy to do. Either way, how you feel about it, in my opinion, it's definitely a loophole that could be abused, and comparatively speaking, it would be, imagine if you can do that in Alliance War. So you go in Alliance War, you fight for 40 seconds, you screw up, you're about to die, you just restart your game, and yes, you have lost, let's say, 40 seconds of your timer, but you have a chance not to die. Doesn't seem too nice. Anyways, and that's the entire point of Battlegrounds. If you screw up, you die. The second thing that I am guilty of is, but I only did it about 3 times, again, once on stream, and twice before that off stream, which was when your opponent is about to throw level 3, hit pause button and exit the fight. You're gonna get the points for your remaining health before opponent drops level 3. You're gonna lose all the points for the time remaining, but it was still a way how to minimize the consequences of your screw up, so to say. That also needs to be done away with. It shouldn't work like that. Should not work like that. Stupid thing to do. And it should not work like that. If you quit the fight, you should automatically just lose the round regardless of any points. In my opinion. So these were going around for weeks. And virtually everybody of the top players unanimously disagreed with it. But unfortunately, we could see it more and more often kind of creeping in the higher ranks. And now I'm sure that I mentioned it, a lot of people probably recognize it. Problem with this restarting thing was because you couldn't legitimately distinguish which players did actually get a bug and which players are doing it to gain a competitive advantage. So this is something that needs to be done away with in Battlegrounds immediately. Another point to mention is boosts. Now, boosts have a text specifically to mention that they are not meant to work in Battlegrounds. Yet they did. Yet they absolutely did. Even though it was said that boost should not affect your Battlegrounds champions, they did. Regular boosts and class boosts as well. So there was, again, set of players who love to boost up for majority of their fights. Now, it was one thing, obviously, if you happen to have boosts on and you just don't want to wait them you just, don't want to wait for them to expire before you play Battlegrounds. It was another thing to virtually boost up with medium or small boosts for every single Battlegrounds match that you do. Which, again, is something that clearly Kabam says should not happen, but it was happening. Didn't want to make a video of it just so people, again, wouldn't necessarily start doing it on purpose because now they're aware that it works. So that was definitely yet another issue in Battlegrounds. The next issue that 100% has to be addressed is also, unfortunately, the matchmaking. The matchmaking itself is absolutely screwed up. The fact that you match only people within 50 points of you, up or down, does not work at all, in my opinion, whatsoever. Now, at this point, we could start getting in a bigger conversation about Kabam, how Kabam could set up these seasons and ranks and tiers, and what players could match what players. But I think that kind of deserves a separate video, because I have always heard people saying, cow players should only be able to match cow players or something like that, because I'm Cav and it's unfair that I match Thronebreaker and Paragon players. And it's fair that there are people who feel that way, and I can understand them. But a fair warning of that is, just like with Alliance War rewards and Alliance War tier rewards for individual wards and everything else, as soon as Kabam is gonna put in some sort of progression level based system in Battlegrounds, the best cow players will effectively get significantly worse players than the worst, Paragon and Thronebreaker players. And that is not something you necessarily want either. You might be cow and you might be beating everybody and you might get to first place. And then you can look at somebody who's Thronebreaker and losing to everybody and gets better rewards just because they're Thronebreaker. I don't think that is what you want to do. I think the best possible way of sorting this is probably something similar to Alliance War tiers, perhaps. Or some sort of leagues, should we say, where every week you can either get a step up or step down based on how well you played. And, then if you beat everybody at like your League 5 and you get in top 10 spots, you get up to League 6 and, up to League 4. And if you lose at everybody at League 4 and you rank in one of the bottom 10 spots, you go down or something like that. That is, how I probably would set it up. But matchmaking in itself was very skewed because, the problems were everywhere because people at top had problems in just matching in general. And then the people in the middle or bottom obviously had issues with being matched with people who have vastly different account sizes and so on and so forth. So I do think that there are significant ways how to improve this matchmaking. That kind of goes through the main problems that I have had with Battlegrounds. The last thing left to address is the recharge system of 3 champions fights and then 45 units to recharge it. I don't like it. I don't like the fact that you can refresh. Let me put it more clearly. I think either the recharge or the champion energy shouldn't be a thing, in my opinion, personally. I just think that obviously it shouldn't become a game mode that's super grindy and you have to play all day if you want to place highly. I think there should be some sort of limit on how much you can play. Not necessarily how much you can play, but how many of your matches count towards like your season score or something like that. because we do not want this to be another arena where you rank highly or you get many rewards if you play all day. But at the same time, the champion recharge system at the moment, again, just felt fairly bad in a sense that when you lost a match because you were missing the clear kind of like top options from your drafts, you kind of always felt that only if I had these champions, I had a better chance. And that kind of demeans the idea of going head to head when all of you are at your best. And I would be okay with it if there would be no way to get your best champions back. But this current system of 45 units or just 3 fights, just very quickly, I think, is going to devolve into the most competitive people will always want all their champions recharged regardless of cost. And anybody who is not going to be willing to do that is going to be put at significant disadvantage and is never going to rank very highly or is going to be forced to play a very limited amount of times. So I do think we should probably have about 5 champion energy at the bare minimum. And, in an ideal world, I would love to see the whole recharge system go away, to be honest, completely. Or just those recharges not being available for units, should we say. Here we can see that my stream was lagging for a bit. My bad about that. But the final point, as I promised, there is an update also about what is going to happen with Battlegrounds. And that update comes from Kabam Jax right here. So we're glad that you have enjoyed Battlegrounds. Now that beta is finished, we will take some time to consider player feedback and evaluate changes we'd like to make. We're aiming to return with a follow-up beta in coming months. Coming months, in my head, means within next 2-3 months. So not next month. So not in July, so it's a beta. Another beta, not the live mode, again, so we do not know when this game is going to get launched properly. But another beta, I think, could be coming in August or September, probably. I personally do hope it's quicker than that. But that is how I would interpret somebody saying to me in coming months. If they would say next month, obviously that would be next month. That means kind of further than the next month. It probably means 2 to 3 months away from now is where we're going to see Battlegrounds come back to the game in another beta. And I missed them already. There's no point in saying anything otherwise. Again, anything else that currently happens in a game feels like very toned down. Just don't care about it as much. Really don't. So I do hope that they bring them back as early as possible. But as I said before in the video, I'd much rather them bring it back later, but sort out all of the problems and loopholes. Fix the boosts, fix the force closing thing, fix the bugs, deal with the moderators, improve the matchmaking system, and somehow work in those tiers or something in the mode. Let me know what you guys think about Battlegrounds. What was your overall experience? And I'm going to catch you guys soon. See ya. Hello there guys and welcome back to the channel. So we have all the information about the